Welcome to Business Mentorship Keepin It Real, where we feature entrepreneurs and enterprise leaders who share their great ideas in our guest blog found on shareyourstories.online. Our guest is Kim McDiarmid, who is a model, coach, and mentor, and was one of the first 100 stories that we shared in the series. We're going to discuss not only her experience in the industry, but how she's helping others start their career. And Kim joins us from Toronto, Ontario. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here today.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, because I know that when we featured your story and I took a look at what you and your daughter, Maddie, were doing in collaboration together with helping other women try to find their place in the modeling world. And I thought, what a fantastic idea. So tell us a little bit about the masterclass.
Yes. So the idea came from my daughter, Maddie, because we do get asked a lot. She's a model as well. And we get asked so many questions. You know, I have a daughter or I have a son. I know somebody who's interested in modeling. And it's such a broad area, and it's tough to know where to start. So she said, why don't we do a master class and help people enter the industry in a really effective, efficient way, and that gets them, sort of a platform and get going in the business. So it was amazing. We sat down and together with our experience, she's been in the business for 15 years. I'm moving into my 46th year in the business, if you can imagine. We had that masterclass written, I would say, in about 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, we got to give them this and this and this and this. And then we really
packaged it up.
Yeah. And it's been amazing to watch people come in, learn, and then apply it to their lives.
Well, what's really amazing is, I think back in my youth when, I was deciding what I wanted to do with life. And of course, every young girl's dream is to, if you love fashion, to be a model. And of course, I'm short, I just wasn't going to fit the bill. But I have always had this love for fashion, and it really is a business. And I think that that's something that a lot of people forget, because they think it's just another pretty face, right? You just need a pretty face. You need to be 5'10" and, 100 pounds soaking wet, and you're in.
Right.
But there's so much more to the business of modeling.
Absolutely. And in fact, when we talk about the masterclass, we spend a little bit of time on, how are you going to show up? How is your makeup going to be? How are you going to walk into a room with confidence and presence? But that's a very small part about what we actually discuss. We talk about the business, building momentum in your business, in the industry. How do you break through barriers? Because it is a competitive, it's a competitive business. So we talk a lot about business. In fact, we talk about relationships, working with the clients. How do you get the job 3, 4, 5 times, not just that one time? So it is a business, definitely.
For sure. Now, I'm sure our viewing and listening audience is saying, seriously, 46 years in the industry? How can that possibly be? But I know that you spent some time in Paris. So tell us a little bit about being in the industry, clearly at a time, age and stage of your life where you were going like, wow, pinch me, is this real?
Oh, I was 17. I had my 18th birthday in Paris. I'm from a small town. And, really, it's that story of being sort of dropped into this beautiful city. An agent saw some pictures of mine from Toronto. They flew me over, and I left school. I finished through correspondence, but I left school and dropped myself into Paris with $200 in my pocket.
Wow.
And I built a life in this industry. And, it was so beautiful and such an incredibly, it was so good for my growth as a person to be able to see this city. And I took advantage of everything. We were talking about art earlier, and I took those moments to really absorb the city and learn the language. So the business was one thing, modeling was one part of it, of course. And I spent close to 10 years there, going back and forth.
Fantastic.
And then funny enough, I was there for 6 weeks in February of this year as a model. I have an agency there.
Congratulations.
So funny. I'm back in it, and it shaped my entire life.
For
There's no
sure.
doubt.
Now, you went from modeling to having your own agency.
I did.
So that's a transition that I'm sure folks are interested in hearing about because,
Right.
talk about taking the business of the business seriously. I mean,
Mhm.
then you were actually booking and being an agent for other talent. So give us a
Definitely.
little bit of insight into owning your own agency and how did that shape your career even further?
Oh, that was a beautiful part of my career because I do love to see people grow. And so this opportunity came up. My agent from when I was a young girl was ready to move on. She said, it's yours if you want it." And she actually called me on a Thursday, and I brought my business partner in, Sarah, my best friend, and we walked in on Monday.
Wow.
And we took over. And of course, it was challenging and we worked day and night. But my job was to find the new talent, develop them, and then send them off. We worked in every major city around the world. We placed people all over. And really, I'm still in touch with so many of those people. And I watch how that's affected their careers. So, yes, modeling was the thing, but actually, it really is a stepping stone to
Right.
so many other things.
Right.
It was a very, beautiful part of my life. I loved working with those people, and they're hilarious. All these watching them go through all their different stages, get married, have children, still stay in touch. But at the core was developing business women and men, and
Sure.
that was really important to us to make professionals.
So, tell us a little bit about how the modeling world has changed because there was a time when the first gray hair appeared that you'd be like, "Uh oh,
I'm done.
I'm done." And I think that's not the case anymore. I mean, we're
No.
seeing, I mean, just look at the ads that we see in magazines or even on social media and, even on the runway. And we're starting to see women of a certain age having an opportunity to put a face to a brand. So, is that something that has been sort of nurtured through time, or is it just the demographics? There's a lot of baby boomers out there. There's a lot of people who are consumers who are saying, I want to see myself on that stage, or I
Right.
want to see myself in that ad. So the folks who are now booking people are taking a different tangent or being taking a different perspective.
Definitely. I can relate to that personally because when I was 50 and deciding to go silver before I started modeling again, that is exactly the sentiment that I had. I couldn't see myself. This is 10 years. I couldn't see myself anywhere. I
Right,
was looking through ads everywhere and thinking, okay, well, that looks amazing on her. What's that going to look like on me?
right.
So, definitely, I think women and men, people in general, are looking for people that they can relate to. Where do I
Mhm,
see myself?
mhm.
And also, we have to look at, yes, baby boomers are a big part of it, but social media has played a huge role
Right,
because we no longer need to have someone use them as a platform. We have our own platform. So we
right.
have more power now. The model has more power, whether she's a social influencer or a brand ambassador, whatever that looks like. We now have more power to get our message across.
Right.
That's changed everything, definitely.
You raise a really good point because one of the things that we're all trying to do on social media is introduce the person behind the logo. When we're in business, we spend a lot of time on picking the right logo colors. What is that graphic going to look like? How do we want to show up in terms of our visual image? But now we actually have all of these platforms to create a name for ourselves or a look based on our own brand.
Definitely. And what is your message? Which
Exactly.
is something that we talk a lot about in the masterclass because clients, for example, Lululemon is a perfect example. When they're hiring a model, they're going to look at, does she actually do yoga? Is
Right.
she in,
Right.
it's not just about can she fit in the clothes.
Right.
It's do they actually do what they say they do? What is the
Right.
message on their social media? Are they positive? Who are they reaching out to? This
Right.
is a huge part of what we teach in our masterclass. What kind of message are you sending out there? Is it positive?
Right.
And that's
Right.
what clients are really attaching themselves to.
So, when we're trying to develop ourselves in terms of image and we would like to become relatable to a brand, because once you start to gain momentum on social media, I mean, I'm sure like you, there's a whole lot of people who will then reach out and say, oh, we really love your look. Would you like to
Right.
wear our whatever the product is? I'm going to venture to guess that you have to be pretty true to your own authentic self in choosing which brands you want to represent.
Definitely. I get reached out to all the time. First of all, what we want to talk about in the masterclass is how do you monetize that,
Right.
right? Because you can share your image in a thousand different ways, but remembering that we are a business and that you
Right.
definitely want to monetize and not just do free advertising for a brand. Secondly, I know for myself, I'm reached out to all the time, and that brand has to relate to me. I've been, I have a lot of people who reach out through plastic surgery clinics and that kind of stuff because I'm 59. And I always decline because it's not on brand for me. It doesn't
Right.
matter the money that would come my way. That's just not what I speak to. I'm
Right.
all about aging gratefully, that sort of thing. So we do have to be careful. And I think what's very important when we're building our brand is to be true to ourselves first.
Mhm.
I always try and coach, don't try and be anybody else because it's so much work to
That's
be
true.
somebody else. If you
Yeah.
are yourself and self-develop and find out what really matters to you, that's what's going to resonate with others. So be true to yourself and be very, very authentic. And if you don't know what that looks like, then grow that first before you put yourself out there.
That's really good advice because I think at every age and stage in life, we do our own rebrand, right? It's
That's
almost like
true.
every decade, when you're a teenager, you're one person, in your 20s, you're someone else. And it sort of develops as each decade of life changes.
Definitely.
So, based on our viewing and listening audience, and the folks that are listening to you and saying, "Wow, I mean, this makes sense. This is speaking to me."
Right.
Maybe I may have an opportunity to. This might be a side hustle, or maybe I want to reinvent myself and start a whole new career. What are some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves when we look in the mirror? Because you mentioned it's a highly competitive industry.
Right.
Obviously, a lot of it is based on looks. So, what are some of the things that we can really be honest about? Look in the mirror and say, maybe I'm better behind the scenes. Maybe photography is more my thing. Like, I don't know.
Right.
But there must be some really, honest questions that we have to ask ourselves before we say, I want to put myself out there and try to be in front of the camera.
Right. I think the number one question is this really what I want?
Right.
Because, I could say, I really want to be a singer. But if I don't take singing lessons, I'm never going to be a singer. So, is
Right.
this what I really want? Do I have the energy and the passion to put the next year, 2, 3 into something that is going to be, this real hard, it's going to be hard work. It's going to be, it's not going to pay us back right away.
Right.
It's going to take patience. So, is this truly what I really, really want? Is it
Right.
what gets me up at 5 in the morning? If it doesn't get you up at 5 in the morning, maybe it's not really what you want. Find out
Right.
what makes you, really set fire to your soul, and then make a decision from there.
What about handling rejection? Because I have got to, I can only assume that,
Mhm.
you show up for, someone's doing a commercial or they're doing a TV shoot or whatever the case may be. And there's going to be a significant number of people who are on the call list to show up so that they can, do the meet and greet.
Right.
And you're not going to get every job.
No.
How do you deal with the rejection? Because, there's got to be things that say, well, you're not tall enough. You need to lose 20 pounds. Maybe you do need to, get that facelift,
Yeah,
girlfriend.
right.
Like, you're just not cut out for this industry. How
Yeah,
do you deal with the rejection that you're going to obviously feel and
right.
witness?
Well, I think we talk about this. First of all, and most importantly, no matter what business you're in, you show up 100% yourself and 100% the
Right.
best that you can. And from there, you do not attach anything to the outcome. That's the most important thing. I don't go into, and this is, I've been in the business a long time. So it's taken me a while to get there. but I really I don't count on that job. I don't attach myself to the outcome. I don't spend whatever they've said this job is going to be. I just wait for it to come in, and if it comes in, great, and if it doesn't, that's okay too. I've forgotten about it. The
Right.
minute the minute I leave that room, that casting is in the past for me.
That's probably very good advice in life in general
Mhm.
because it's a sales process. It
Right?
just so happens that you're selling your image. It's no
Exactly.
different than any other product or service that we might sell. And, you go in to put your best foot forward, and you don't always get the sale, or you don't always get the job. So that's probably really good advice for anyone who's in a sales position.
Precisely, and what it does is it allows us to put that in the past and move forward with that next
Right.
thing, right? We're
Right.
not focused on something that A, didn't come together, or, "Oh my goodness, I wonder if." Let's
Right.
get moving. I'm all about momentum, and I talk about that a lot. What's that next step? If we're going to be successful, no matter what we choose, where is that momentum coming from? So
Right.
moving forward is key.
And I also love your reference to the passion because, I think that especially in your industry, there's a lot of glitz and glamour, of course. I mean, everybody, the locations look amazing. The clothes look fantastic. The
Those are
people
great.
look like they're having a really great time. Is there
Right.
an experience that you can share with us that really sits in the forefront of your mind and you can say, that was a really pivotal time in my career, and it was just an amazing experience. Is there one experience you can share with us?
Wow, there are many, but I think this summer, I shot the back cover of Chatelaine, for the beauty awards, and there were 3 of us. And, I just was so thrilled to be in the company that I was with and to shoot the cover of Chatelaine after all these years at this point for 59. I that to me was a real check mark. I've
Mhm.
done shows, I've done some amazing shows. I've walked the runway with, Iman back in the day, but this moment was very, very cool because, wow, we really can do anything at
Right.
any point in our lives if we just
Right.
sort of pin focus in on that.
That's really a wonderful segue into your 3 words of advice, because one of the things that we ask each of the folks who participate in our guest blog is to give 3 words of advice. And
Exactly.
yours are vision,
Mhm.
consistency, and patience. So, why for you are those 3 words so important?
So we have to have vision in order
Mhm.
to move forward and build that momentum. Have a
Right.
real vision, not I have 3 visions. I have this year's vision, I have a 5-year vision, and a 10-year vision. So what am I doing in this year to reach those goals? Vision goals, I have vision boards, all of that sort of thing. I like to put things out in front of me. I
Right.
like to keep them out in front of me where I can see them. They're top of mind, and I know that that's the direction that I'm headed. So if we have a vision, a goal, or in the writing world, we call it focal point, that is where we end up, right? So having a very solid vision about where we want to go. Consistency are the actions, that you put in place every day.
Mhm.
Because as entrepreneurs, business owners, it's very simple to be distracted
Mhm.
with, if I don't want to do something, you'll find me folding laundry, right?
The
Yes,
thing you
well, I
really
don't
don't
want
want
to
to
do that.
do.
I don't want to do that. I want to do this instead. So staying consistent with our actions every single day moves something in the direction of that vision. I think that's really, really important. And then having the patience,
Mhm.
because you can look at a career like this and say, wow, there's success there. There's a legacy of success. But we have to remember it's 45 years
Right.
of being patient and
Right.
waiting and consistently working towards that vision, and just knowing that if I put everything in my soul into this business, any sport, anything it is that you're doing, you will find success, but you've got to be patient.
I think that's really wonderful because one of the things that you're actually doing by sharing your experience with, folks who are wanting to start their careers, you're actually mentoring them and sharing some of the sort of the highlights of your career, because what's really amazing is every business is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think what you're doing, what you and Maddie are doing, and helping people to sort of be realistic. And I'm sure even your masterclass is of value, even if you're not going to go into the modeling industry, because it's going to help you build a sense of self-awareness and confidence that I think helps all of us in whatever we choose to do.
Oh, definitely. And we've had lots of people come through just to learn the principles
Right.
of modeling and
Right.
and really attaching into that, I call it legacy of success, or really what do you want to do with your life? How do you want to be successful? Let's use those principles to get you where you want to go.
Sure. How do you want to show up? Because that's so important.
So important, definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Kim, for spending some
Oh,
time with us today. I know that our viewing and listening audience has got a lot of really wonderful tidbits of information here. And in the show more of the actual credits, we have all of your contact information so that people can reach out to you. So thank you so much for spending time with us.
thank you so much for having me.
To you, our viewing and listening audience, I'd like to thank you for joining us in this edition of Keeping It Real, where we introduced you to the person behind the logo. I'm Trish Tonai, founder and host for the series. And if you're interested in sharing your business story, visit our website at shareyourstories.online. Thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to meeting you next time when we share another great idea.